Hi, welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I'm doing the Holly Jolly book tag. This tag was originally created by Shalise over at And Read Another Chapter with her daughter. If you have not checked out their channel, I highly recommend you do so. It's really fun because not only is Shalise talking about the books that she's read, but she also has her daughter do reading wrap-ups as well. I think her daughter is like 14. Her daughter is a teenager, and then sometimes some of her younger children will come in too and share things that they have been reading also. So it's just really fun to see like the family dynamic and hear book recommendations for all ages. So this tag has 10 questions, and all of them are like titles or lines from songs. And originally I was going to try to come up with a Christmassy book for each prompt, but then I realized I don't read very many Christmas books. So there are only a couple Christmas books on this list, but hopefully that's okay. There will be some Christmassy books and then some that maybe you will want to add to your 2022 TBR. All right, let's get started. Prompt number 1 is Silver Bells, a book with an outdoor element, either the cover or the content. For this one, I had to go with Anne of Green Gables. I have been rereading this series this year with my daughter. This is her first time reading it. She's 9, but I had read them as a child and grown up with the movies that have Megan Follows in them. So it has been just such a joy to introduce these to her. But really, any of L.M. Montgomery's books have such beautiful depictions of nature, and nature is just a huge part of the protagonist's life. Like, she always enjoys nature, at least the Ellen Montgomery books that I've read, which would include the Anne series, the Emily trilogy, and then Story Girl and its sequel. All of them, the protagonists just love nature, and I just love the descriptions of it, and it just makes me want to go to Prince Edward Island so much. Prompt number 2 is Little Drummer Boy, a book that weaves a Christmas play in it. This book is actually not one that I have read. It's the best Christmas pageant ever. I picked this up at a thrift store semi-recently at some point this year, and I am reading it with my daughter this Christmas. We haven't gotten to it yet, but I've heard a lot of people say that this is their absolute favorite Christmas book, so I decided we would give it a try this Christmas season. It's really, really short, so hopefully that will be helpful in squeezing it in. Question number 3 is The 12 Days of Christmas, a book with a number in the title. And as I was looking at my shelves, I realized that I really don't have that many books with numbers in the title. You would think I would have more, but I don't have that many. So I went with 1776 by David McCullough. This is kind of like, feels like an odd choice considering what the kind of books that I normally read. This is not one of them, but my husband actually read this earlier this year and thought it was absolutely excellent and loved it so much. And it's one that I am considering putting on my 2022 nonfiction TBR. The next prompt is Mele Kalikimaka. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. A Christmas book that takes place in a different state or country than your own. And this prompt just makes me think of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So, because it's the only place I've ever heard that song from before. So I'm like big time cheating with this one because this is just a really obvious choice. I'm going with A Christmas Carol because, again, I don't read that many Christmas themed books other than like when my daughter was little. We used to read a lot of Christmas picture books, and I really have not read that many adult Christmas books. So, but A Christmas Carol, though quite cliche in choosing it for a Christmas book, does take place in England, and I live in America, so totally a different country than my own. The next prompt is White Christmas, a book featuring some form of military or hometown hero. So like a police officer, a doctor, a nurse, something like that. So for that prompt, I went with Meet the Austins by Madeleine L'Engle. This is a super underrated book. I actually have not completed the series. This is the first book in the series, and I have never heard anyone else talk about this book. I read it last year, and it is just like so sweet and so wholesome. It is about a family. I think they have 4 children, and they end up taking in a child who has lost both of her parents, and it's supposed to be like a temporary solution until they can help her stay with extended family. And just like the day-to-day scenes of family life and all of that kind of stuff are just really wonderful and so much fun. But the dad in this book is a doctor, so that is why I am including this book in this title. But really, I just feel like this book needs more love in general. When people think of Madeleine L'Engle, they think of A Wrinkle in Time, which is great, but you guys have been sleeping on Meet the Austins. You really need to read this one. Prompt number 6 is Do You Hear What I Hear? A book featuring someone with a disability. So for that prompt, I'm going with a book that I read earlier this year, and that's Wonderstruck by Brian Selznick. This book is beautiful. I know a lot of people have read it, so if you're watching this, there's a good chance that you have. This is a middle grade book, and Brian Selznick does some kind of unique things with the storytelling in this, in that you have one storyline that just has pictures only. It's only told in pictures, and then the other storyline is told only in text, and then at the end the storylines converge, but the main characters in both of the narratives are deaf, and so it really has a very powerful message about disability and found family and all that kind of stuff, and it's wonderful. It's a really quick read because so much of it is pictures, but it's very deeply impactful, and I absolutely loved it. Question number 7 is It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, a middle grade or picture book. This one I did try to go for a more Christmassy theme on. I could have chosen like a myriad of picture books because we actually do have a lot of Christmas picture books, but I decided to go with a middle grade book instead, and it's The Family Under the Bridge by Natalie Savage Carson. This is another book that I hope to read with my daughter this Christmas season. It's also really short. The pictures are by Garth Williams, which I love his illustrating style, and they're just really, really pretty. So this is a really wonderful story, very much about like found family. Our main character is kind of this cranky old man who is homeless and living under a bridge, and one day he comes back to his spot and finds these 3 children who have suddenly found themselves homeless, and it is just so wonderful and so heartwarming. So if you have not picked up this one, it is a wonderful one. I mean, to read with your children, but even just to read for yourself, it's very sweet. Question number 8 is Baby, It's Cold Outside, a book involving a psychopath, thriller, mystery, or a book you want to cuddle up with. And I think it's really funny. This prompt cracks me up because they are 2 very opposite things. And when I think of the song Baby, It's Cold Outside, I kind of do think of creepy vibes because the guy singing in that is just kind of creepy. So it's funny to me that they have that element in there, and then or a book you want to cuddle up with. So for this prompt, I'm going with a book that I do not own. I'm going with an Agatha Christie book because you can't go wrong with Agatha Christie when it comes to mysteries. And I own a lot of Agatha Christie books, but I don't own this one, and I want to recommend it because it takes place during a snowstorm, and that's The Sittaford Mystery. This book is really fun because it basically, the stage that's set for it is these people are at a party, and they're doing some sort of, it's almost like kind of like a Ouija board kind of a thing where, but I think it's called like a tabletop game or something like that. And they're trying to like receive messages. And the message that they receive is that a certain person is dead. Of course, everyone gets super, super upset, and there's this massive snowstorm, so there's no way they can go to this person's house and check on them, but one person decides that he is going to go check as soon as he can, and sure enough, this person is dead. So the question is, was there someone there who was manipulating the answer that was received, or, you know, we're trying to figure out exactly what happened. It's a really fun one, and I really enjoyed it, and it's perfect for this time of year. Prompt number 9 is I'll Be Home for Christmas, a book featuring families. So this could be drama, reunion, etc., but family is the central theme. And for that one, I'm going to go with a book that I'm reading right now, and that's Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I can't think of a better family-centered book to read, especially this time of year. This is actually my first time reading it, but it's so cozy and so perfect, and it actually opens at Christmas time, so I feel like it does fit well with this theme, even though it follows the March sisters. There are 4 of them over the course of years, so it's not specifically like a holiday-centered book, but it does open at Christmas time, and they're just wonderful family themes woven throughout. Prompt number 10, our last prompt, is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, a book featuring a different ethnicity than your own. I'm going with a middle grade book for this one, and I am going with Amal Unbound by Aisha Saeed. This book takes place in Pakistan. Amal is a young girl who really loves school and she dreams of being a teacher one day, but there's some very powerful people that are in charge of the village where she lives, and basically one day she ticks off the wrong person and kind of ends up in servitude to this person. And it's just a very eye-opening and sad book about the education of women in the Middle East. She's pretty young in this book. I think she's like 12 or 13 or something like that. But it was just a really, really well-written, wonderful book that really centers around that theme. There's actually also a bonus prompt, which is to pick a Christmas carol and pair a book with that. My favorite Christmas carol is actually O Come, O Come, Emmanuel, but was having a hard time figuring out a book to pair with that one. So instead I decided to go with Joy to the World, and the book that I am pairing with that is Surprised by Joy by C.S. Lewis. This is C.S. Lewis's memoir of his life leading up to when he became a Christian. So he was actually an atheist when he was younger, and the more that he looked into things and looked into spirituality, the more he just felt drawn to Jesus, and he was surprised at the joy that he found in Christ, and it's a wonderful book. So I guess that's my pairing. There are a lot of people that I could tag to do this video, but I know that a lot of people already have very carefully laid out Christmas booktube plans, particularly those of you who are doing Vlogmas. So I will just say that if you are interested in completing this tag, do so. If you would like to, you can even just give me your answers in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me, and I will see you again next time.